The fading spark. In our previous investigation, we explored humanity's greatest inheritance, the spark of compassion, a gift passed from generation to generation, a force that built families, communities, and civilizations. Yet another question remains. If compassion is so powerful, why is the world still filled with cruelty? Why do people exploit one another? Why do nations wage war? Why do individuals choose selfishness over compassion? Perhaps the answer doesn't begin with hatred. Perhaps it begins with something far simpler, a temptation, a reward. The moment someone discovers they can gain an advantage at another person's expense, the moment taking feels more rewarding than sharing. The moment power becomes more attractive than compassion. This is the story of what happens when the spark begins to fade. If compassion is humanity's greatest inheritance, what causes it to fade? Perhaps the answer begins with a simple discovery. That power can produce immediate rewards. Throughout nature, the strong often take from the weak. Yet civilization was built upon a different idea, the idea that cooperation produces greater benefits than domination, the idea that protecting the vulnerable strengthens the entire community. But that lesson is not learned automatically. Every generation must learn it again. Imagine the moment a person realizes he can take what belongs to another, a cookie from a child, a lamb from a shepherd, a field from a neighbor, a kingdom from a rival. The reward is immediate. The gain is obvious. The cost is borne by someone else. Compassion asks us to restrain ourselves. Selfishness offers its reward at once. The fading of the spark may begin here, not with hatred, not with violence, not even with fear, but with temptation. The moment taking becomes more attractive than sharing. The moment power becomes more attractive than compassion. The first blow to the spark has been struck. The strong man took the lamb. The reward was immediate, but the community paid the price. The shepherd lost his best ewe. A young lamb lost its mother. Trust was damaged. And so the village gathered, not to seek revenge, not to destroy the offender, but to restore what had been broken. The elders listened, the shepherd spoke. The strong man was confronted with the consequences of his actions. The judgment was simple. Return the ewe, restore what was lost, make the injured party whole. For the first time, accountability entered the story. The lesson was not merely that stealing was wrong. The lesson was that actions have consequences. The purpose of justice was not punishment. The purpose of justice was restoration. The victim was restored. The community was strengthened. And the strong man learned that power carried responsibility. Fear entered the story here, but only as a servant, a reminder that harmful actions would bring consequences. The spark of compassion still guided the process. Justice and compassion were working together. The strong man took the lamb. The reward was immediate, but the community paid the price. The shepherd lost his best ewe. Trust was damaged. Resentment began to grow, and so humanity discovered another truth. Compassion alone was not always enough. Some people would choose immediate reward even when it harmed others. A new solution became necessary. Rules. Do not steal, do not murder, do not take what belongs to another. The purpose of these rules was simple: to protect the community from selfishness. Yet every rule carried something new, a consequence, a punishment, a warning. For the first time, fear entered the story, not fear as an enemy, fear as a tool, the fear of consequences, the fear of punishment, the fear of losing one's place within the community. Used wisely, fear could protect compassion. Used poorly, fear could replace it. Humanity had taken its first step onto a dangerous path. The question was no longer whether fear could control behavior. The question was whether fear would remain a servant or become a master. The shepherd was restored. The village remained at peace. Justice had worked, but justice was not free. The elders spent their time hearing disputes. The community gathered to resolve conflicts. Someone had to preserve the rules. Someone had to remember precedents. Someone had to devote time to maintaining harmony. And so the people began to support those who served the community. a loaf of bread, a basket of grain, a portion of the harvest, a gift of appreciation. The arrangement was simple. The community supported those who protected the community. At first, this created little conflict. The elders prospered only when the village prospered. Their interests remained aligned, justice remained local, compassion remained central. The spark still burned brightly, yet another temptation was waiting just beyond the horizon, a question that would change everything. What if authority itself could become a source of wealth? But systems have a tendency to grow. What begins as a safeguard can become an institution. And institutions require resources, buildings, officials, treasuries, storerooms, support staff, maintenance. The rules that once protected the people now support a growing system. Most leaders remain sincere. Most believe they are serving a noble purpose. Yet another temptation quietly appears: the temptation to preserve the institution itself, the temptation to measure success by wealth, by influence, by growth, by obedience. A community exists to serve people, but sometimes institutions begin asking people to serve the institution. The shift is subtle, almost invisible. A widow gives her last coins. A shepherd brings his best lamb. A farmer parts with precious grain. Each sacrifice seems small. Yet over time, the flow moves in one direction, from the many to the few. The spark has not yet gone out, but its light is growing dimmer. For the first time, compassion is no longer the center of the system. The system itself is becoming the center. The first rules helped communities survive. Do not steal, do not murder, do not take what belongs to another. Most people could understand the purpose. The rules protected cooperation, they protected trust, they protected the spark. But another question soon emerged: who would interpret the rules? Who would enforce them? Who would decide when new rules were needed? Over time, special classes of leaders appeared: judges, priests, prophets, teachers. Many served their communities faithfully. But a new temptation had entered the story: the temptation to benefit from authority itself. A rule that protects the community serves everyone. A rule that benefits the rule maker serves someone else. Gradually, some societies accumulated rules that had little to do with compassion: what foods could be eaten, what clothing could be worn, what rituals must be observed, what offerings must be brought. The focus slowly began to shift from protecting people to maintaining systems, from compassion to compliance. The spark had not disappeared, but another shadow had appeared: the temptation to turn authority into advantage, the temptation to make rules not merely for the good of the community, but for the benefit of those who controlled them. As institutions grew, many people began to ask an ancient question: had the original purpose been forgotten? The rules had multiplied, the systems had grown, the offerings increased, yet compassion often seemed harder to find. Into this world came teachers who called people back to first principles. Among the most influential were Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Their message was remarkably simple: love your neighbor, forgive, show mercy, care for the poor, feed the hungry, comfort the suffering. The emphasis returned to people rather than systems, to relationships rather than rituals, to compassion rather than compliance. In the language of this investigation, the spark had not been extinguished. It had merely been buried beneath layers of authority, fear, and tradition. And now it was being uncovered once again. The call was not toward greater control, the call was toward greater compassion, the return of the spark. For centuries, the rules multiplied: more regulations, more penalties, more offerings, more rituals, more complexity. Yet the spark continued to fade. Then came a remarkable proposal. What if the purpose of the law had been forgotten? What if the thousands of rules were merely attempts to protect a much simpler truth? According to tradition, Hillel was once asked to summarize the entire Torah while standing on one foot. His answer was astonishing: "What is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor." The rest, he said, is commentary. Go and learn it. Jesus taught a remarkably similar principle: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. In a single sentence, both teachings return to the same foundation: compassion, not fear, not sacrifice, not ritual, not institutional power. Compassion. Treat others as you wish to be treated. Do not do to others what you would not wish done to yourself. The spark was never truly lost. It had simply been buried beneath layers of complexity. And now, once again, it was being uncovered. Perhaps the path back was never complicated. Perhaps it was always this simple. Compassion is the foundation of a peaceful world. Greed dims the light. Every generation faces the same temptation: to take rather than share, to dominate rather than serve, to fear rather than trust. The spark has faded before, but it has never been extinguished. It survives in every act of kindness, every act of mercy, every hand extended to another human being. The future is not determined by kings, nor governments, nor armies. It is determined by the choices ordinary people make every day. The spark remains. The choice remains. As always, the way to peace belongs to those who choose compassion.